Okay, so we've been doing for this entire month a series that's titled Hell and Suicide series. This week we're talking about Don't Be the Cause. And this is coming from Job 1, verse 1 through actually verse 22. Job 1, verse 1 through 22. And it's called Don't Be the Cause. Now, for the first week was really the introductory week. And then the second week, which we'll consider week 1, we was talking about notice the signs. Now I want to paint a picture here for everybody. Now notice the signs is trying to teach us, because the whole purpose of this series is to get people to recognize an individual who may be suicidal before it get to the breaking point to where they actually try to commit the act. We're trying to catch them before they get to that point that they actually commit the act. We don't want to wait until after they commit the act, whether they're successful or unsuccessful, and then say, okay, let's talk about it. So we want to catch them before they get to that point. That is what this whole series is about. It's catching them before they get to that point of no return. So notice the signs is teaching you how to start recognizing, without looking at the physical aspect. We don't want to wait until there's a note. We don't want to wait until a person does the actual act. We want to start noticing different little signs that a person may be potentially suicidal. Like we was talking about this morning in our early morning session, we was talking about how a person may talk different, or they may dress different, or they may think different, or they may act different. When you start seeing a significant shift like that, then that's a sign that you need to notice. That's a sign that you need to notice that there has been a change in this person's thought pattern, where they might have been a very positive person, and now they've become a very negative person. We was talking about the highs and the lows this morning. Or maybe the high was they was once a very positive person, and now they're at a low where they're a very negative person, or maybe an abusive person, or maybe a very depressed acting person. Those are good indications that a person's thought pattern has shifted and not for the good. That's a good indication that a person's thought pattern has shifted and not for the good. And that's something that we need to notice. And then when we went into the second part of the series, where we was talking about hear the cries. Okay, now hear the cries is talking about when you start, you're not waiting to hear them say, you know what, I don't want to live no more. That's when it's too late. Let's just be honest with it. When a person is saying, I don't want to live no more, I don't feel like nobody loves me, I don't feel like I got a reason to go on, it's too late, to be honest. You want to catch a person before they get to that point. You want to hear those things, and that means you have to actively listen to people. You have to take time and get to know them, knowing how they used to talk, how they used to view life. And now you're noticing and you're hearing the way they talk or the way they view life is different. That's what we mean by notice and hearing. You got to notice that the way they used to look, the way they used to act, the way they used to talk is shifting. It's changing. It may not go from high to low all at once, but you're going to start seeing a significant change in a person who may be suicidal. Now, every time a person have a change, don't necessarily mean that they're suicidal. But you still need to pay close attention. And then hearing The cries is talking about listening to a person while they talk. And we're going to go a little bit further into that as we go on with today's series. Now, today's series is talking about don't be the cause. Now, one may ask, well, what do it mean by don't be the cause? Well, it's just as what I just stated. Don't be the cause. Don't be the cause of someone no longer want to live anymore. Don't you be the cause of that. And we're going to go a little bit further into that here. Now, this is important to keep in mind because each week paints a part of the picture. We begin with notice the sign, and this is the teaching to see beyond the note, to see beyond the actual act. This teaching is to notice the signs before this part even occurs. Notice the change in the personality, the attitude, even the speech. Where a person talking positive, joyful, now they may be talking deadly, negative, sad, or regretful. These are good signs to notice a change has happened in a person that is not for the good. We as society, and we're going to break this down even a little bit further too, as a society. We as a society need to be more aware of how our action, our speech, even our thoughts can affect a person. Sometimes we can say something because we and you know, they people like to say in society, they like to say, you know, a woman, she gonna talk till she get her point across. You know, a lot of them like to say, especially a black woman, she gonna talk until she get her point across. So sometimes, you know, let's take the race out of it, let's take the gender out of it. But sometimes we as society, we be so focused on trying to prove our point, trying to prove that we're right, that we don't notice what we're saying or how we're acting or how we're reflecting is actually called the effect that it's having on someone else. Now, there's two words that we're going to deal with here in just a moment. But hear the cries in week 2 is again dealing with paying attention to what a person is saying rather than having to have the last word or having to be right. It's not always about having the last word. It's not always about being right. Sometimes it is just you listening to what a person is or is not saying. Instead of you got to get your point across, you got to have the last say. Many of us have been guilty of that. I for once, because I'm being transparent in this series. I got to get my point across. In a lot of cases, I got to have the last say. In a lot of cases, if I think I'm right, I want to make sure you know I'm right. And that's not always what is needed in that situation. Sometimes in your quest to prove something that makes you look good, you can't hear someone else deciding to just quit trying. Sometimes we get so focused on gotta prove we right, gotta be heard, gotta be seen. Sometimes we get so focused on that we don't hear or see when a person just stopped trying. And again, that's when it's too late. That is when it's too late. Okay. 2 words I want to bring to your attention today. The first one is love. The first one is love. Now, love is an intense feeling or deep affection. Another word for love is a great interest and pleasure in something. We all got that natural instinct in us that wants to be loved, wants to feel love, wants to be the center of love in someone's life. We all got that natural instinct in us. The second word is survive. Now, the word survive means to continue to live or exist, especially in spite of danger or hardship. It's continue to live or exist, especially in spite of danger or hardship. Now, we're going to be dealing with two types of people. Well, let me change that. 3 types of people. The first type of person is a person who was brought up on love. Because remember, this morning when we was talking about it in our series, we was talking about how some people can have what Tamara was talking about, an outward influence on someone else. So in other words, I may not pick up genetic traits from my mom, but I may pick up influential traits